technology do?
All right.
Somebody says I'm echoing. Am I coming?
You're coming through fine on my end, but you may be echoing on TikTok.
I wonder if we're going to echo. That might be an issue. So I might have to turn it. We might have to turn our volume down on our phone.
Yeah, that's what
Yes.
I just.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. How's that sound, guys? Is that a lot better?
We're
And I
live
think
on the
everybody's
Instagrams.
Yep.
All right. Is the echo gone?
I think so. Yeah.
All right. Somebody said better. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
A little. So turn your problem. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for bearing with us as we get this figured out. If it's too bad on TikTok, you can get us on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Has everybody else got their volume down on their phones?
Mine's completely down.
All right.
Should be good to go.
Yeah. Sounds crisp.
All right. No, it's still there, but better.
Huh. Because nobody's playing any feedback. We all got our stuff running through headphones.
All right. Well, anyway, hey, it's Wednesday night, November the 19th, and it is the America's Outpost. And as always, we're here to talk about this week's events. And I am with my fellow host, Brian Lane, and the real Brett Lee. Thank you all for joining this evening. And don't forget to throw your questions out there so we can get them answered. So let's get started with some of the headlines this week. And I think the number one thing people probably want to talk about is, survey says,
Epstein.
could it be Epstein? Epstein.
I believe so.
All right.
Anybody want to go to Epstein? Okay. You don't want to talk about that, Brian?
Oh, dude. I'm all here for it.
Where do we begin?
Where do we begin? Yeah, dude.
Well, go ahead.
No, I think that if I reflect back on things and how things have unfolded, Trump 1 second, it's like, hey, we're going to release that. He's campaigning on releasing the Epstein list and everything like that. And then all of a sudden he's calling it the Democratic hoax and everybody's like offended. Oh my God, how's he going to say this? He must be on the take, and everybody's freaking out. But then if you look at how it played out, all the Democrats took the bait and they all just ran over there and they're like, yeah, we're going to release this Epstein list. And they're like thinking that there's something that Trump's trying to hide. And so right at the end, he capitulates and says,
Right.
You know what? I think we should release it. And so he gets a solid vote from a bipartisan vote for everybody to go on there. It's almost like a chess move.
Yeah.
Jerk people around, because at first nobody, like the Democrats weren't even on the Epstein stuff. They didn't even care about the Epstein stuff. They kind of wanted to leave it alone. And,
Right.
And then all of a sudden everybody was on board. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on.
Well, I mean,
with
Trump, he's always 2 or 3 moves ahead.
Yeah.
So it seems. So yeah, I'm sure there was some planning going on as far as how he was going to go about wording his, whether he wanted it to be released or not. Like there was some thought behind it for sure.
Right.
But in my opinion, I did hear somebody, I can't remember who it was, had a good analysis of it and said, his not wanting it to be released in the beginning was just to protect his donor friends. Cause there's so many billionaire donors on that list. There is. So he was trying to protect his friends, save the embarrassment, that type of thing, which I understand. But then as, the rally started happening from us to make it get released, I think he finally, read the room and was like, all right, let's do this thing.
Right.
Hey, real quick, I had to dump the old TikTok feed because the feedback was too bad. So if guys on TikTok, if you only see one face but 3 voices, that's why. Stick around for some interesting conversation if you want. And again, we'll try to work through our TikTok problems here by next Wednesday. Yeah, I think there was a lot of don't bring out the list because of the powerful people that were going to be affected by it. That's been one talk track for quite some time. But what if it was all part of Trump's master plan, his 5D chess, right? Let's pretend. Let's run
incredible.
Let's run away from it and pretend like we're scared of it and throw a fit and act like it's, fake news, only to then get people into a position where it's like, well, all right, screw it. Let it all loose. Let's see what happens. And now it's going to come out. And he has confidently said more than once that this is all the Democrats. I've got nothing to do with it. And any of the evidence that would implicate's not the right word, but guilt by association, I think is a better way to put it. It's not even guilt by association.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe it is part of some master grand chess plan. What do you think
I
out
hope
there,
so.
TikTok? Is it part of a master grand plan of chess that he's playing?
Well, let's see. Claire Patriot. Hey, what's up? She's in our comments over here. Says, I think he planned it this way to make them demand to release it, which to me, that seems like the most obvious play.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah. Go ahead and pull old Claire into the podcast tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, let her know if she wants to hop on. And then what about Hakeem Jeffries in 2013 asking him for money even after he was convicted of being a dirty dude?
Oh, dude, it gets even worse. You got like, was it Katie Couric and not Papadopoulos, but Stephanopoulos. They were like eating dinner with him and everything like that. And then you have him actively texting a congressman during hearings.
That whole thing is wild to me. And they're trying to downplay it. Did you see her her address to Congress? Trying to be like, I was just conferring with one of my constituents.
Yeah, is that against the law?
I'm like, are you kidding me? And I did a video about it, but she's like, I didn't know there was no federal indictments and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, 2 years prior, he just had to register as the highest level sex offender in New York. Like, right. You can't tell me you didn't know that dude was a bad guy.
Yeah, dude. And then you could see the way Epstein went back and forth on Trump, wondering whether he was an ally or an enemy, and
the dog
whether to hate him.
Barked.
Yeah, dude. It's quite the stir, And I think there was a person at a college university today, Summers or something like that. A guy named Summers.
Larry Summers. Yeah,
he's like, I'm taking a step back.
Well, and he was a big deal with the Clinton administration, and he had to go give that speech in front of his students, basically apologizing for being a complete DB. You know what DB means? I don't want to say it and get kicked off my live here. But that just tells me that the guy's getting his legal team together and getting prepared for maybe a conviction, a trial that's going to lay it all bare, and we're going to find out what kind of a freaky deaky he really was.
Right. It's crazy.
We will see.
I mean, they've pretty much roped themselves in, so we'll see how it plays out, and let's even if the list still gets released at all, because they still got to go through courts and things like that. So
right,
and then how heavily is it going to be redacted? That's the one thing that's still up in the air. I understand redacting the victims' names and stuff like that, but at the same time, it's like, should we, or just release everything so nobody can make any kind of, accusations or inferences that, well, this was blanked out. That could have been so-and-so, like the Dems tried to do with Guffrey.
Right.
On that
they try to mislead. Yeah.
I mean, it's just rife for all kinds of misleading bullshit that they always try to pull. So
So one of the TikTok folks said, what about Jeffries? Well, the Democrats opened a Pandora's box with their push to release the Epstein files. New documents just revealed House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries' link to the billionaire pedophile. As it turns out, fundraisers for Jeffries solicited monies from Jeffrey Epstein and even invited him to meet Brooklyn's Barack, a name referring to Jeffries, who is really one more like a dollar store or Timu Obama at a private dinner.
Obama. That's my favorite, man.
That comes from the WLT report if you guys want to go check that out. There's going to be plenty more names that come out in this. It's going to be a big embarrassment for a lot of people, that it's going to be guilt by association who probably didn't do anything wrong other than, I'll take a free plane ride to the Bahamas to a private island. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? And then I think we're going to find others that are more important. Bill Gates is a name that's always thrown around. The head of Harvard is a name that's thrown around. Larry Summers is thrown around.
What's interesting? Now that you mentioned Bill Gates, and this is just my tinfoil hat moment. He's been saying stuff lately that's like gone against what he's always been preaching, like especially about climate change and things like that. He's like, dude, there's no. It doesn't look like in the foreseeable future that anything is going to really come of this whole situation. And I'm paraphrasing, I'm probably murdering this whole story, but
right.
And all of a sudden he's speaking, awful conservative a little bit, not all the way, but like a little bit of conservative. And I'm like, now if my brain, how it wants to connect dots, now that we're this close to the Epstein list, being released, and it's like, oh, well, maybe
Right.
he's like, well, see, guys, I am conservative. I just,
The biggest tell for me is any of these people that had their heels dug in one stance or another. Now you're seeing them starting to squirm. You're seeing, like you said, Bill Gates. He's trying to like kind of sprinkle in some, I might be conservative kind of things. Anybody that's kind of like changing their character as this gets closer and closer to being released is obviously suspect in my book. But that's the biggest tell in my opinion.
Well, you know what?
Political persecution is what they'll call it.
Mm-hmm. There's a way out for sure.
I keep going. That might just escaped me what I was going to say. It'll come back in a second.
But no.
I know what I was going to say.
Go ahead.
The reason why these people aren't prepared for all this is because in their mind, they knew they were never going to have to deal with Donald Trump ever again.
Fantastic point. Nobody thought that was going to happen in a million years.
Nobody thought that was going to happen. They got careless. It doesn't matter. This guy's not going to be around. I'm not claiming what they were going to do, but open your eyeballs. We all know what they tried to do to him at least 2 times. And who knows what else that we don't even know about.
Exactly.
But according to the Daily Signal, U.S. Justice Department will release Epstein files within 30 days, according to Attorney General Pam Bondi. So we'll see about that.
30 days.
30 days.
Binder number 2. Binder number 2.
Right.
They're going to parade them out there and be like, look. Then they're going to open it up and it's going to say,
binder.
It's going to have the briefing date and time and the name of the report, then blackout. And then and so that's what we think, it's like, period. It's like
just because we're picking on Democrats at the moment, this is another headline at the Liberty Daily. It's the top one right now. Democrat Florida Rep Sheila, I'm going to screw this up. Sheila Scherfilus, Cherfilus, McCormick, is accused of stealing $5 million in FEMA funds. So the hits, they just keep rolling.
Well, USAID 2.0.
Right? So
good Lord.
Maybe it just took a little time for all this Department of Justice stuff to wind up and to go ahead and flush all the rats out of the system and actually get things going.
Well, and you've got to think that the DOJ is feeling the pressure from us, because we're not letting it go. And I think that's what they were betting on when Pam Bondi did the first quote unquote release of the Epstein files. I think she was betting on, all right, this will calm them down. It'll go away. But now, we're putting the pressure on them, which is, we got to keep putting the pressure on until we're satisfied as people of the U.S. Don't let anybody else try to say that, okay, now we need to move on. We're not going to move on until we're satisfied. So keep it up.
Right.
So do either of you think that if the right people are about to be exposed, any of them will try something funny? I mean, these are some powerful people that could be exposed, people that could ruin the stock market in some way, shape, or form.
I just don't think, I think it's, I hate to be this Debbie Downer and this negative Nancy, but I think we'll get our, what do they call that? The body, we'll get a couple bodies, or what do they call it? Like
little fall guys.
Yeah. A couple fall guys, but I just don't see it. I don't see anything major shifting or happening. And if it did, if it did, I'd be shocked. 100%. Right. I'd be shocked. And
then to counter that, though, it's like there's never been such a monumental thing potentially to be released that could be so damaging to so many powerful people at one time.
I mean, it'd be a quick way to get us on digital currency. Flip us over.
There's going to be some kind of misdirection, and how do you hurt people the most and make people freak out, mess with their money? So I wouldn't be surprised if some kind of bank run or some kind of the sky's falling type stock market thing, but who knows?
I would, they might move the alien invasion up a couple of weeks,
the calendar.
Like, look, we're going to release the age of disclosure. And by the time this thing hits we'll just have to move the tentative date up. We were going to do 2026, to keep in line with all the profits on
at this point, that's about the only thing that's going to misdirect people. I think everybody's so hyper focused on this right now. So. Aliens are bust.
Yeah, well, it's like Dr. Evil's wife in the series.
Yeah,
bring on the aliens.
We're gonna move the freaking alien invasion up,
right,
dude.
Yeah, got to keep moving the Overton window one way or the other. So
yeah, dude.
So I guess we're gonna have a lot to talk about over the next 30 days as these documents do or don't come out, redacted or not redacted. But it'll be interesting to see if some of the rats start to turn on each other, and if they do, maybe they'll start working their way up the ladder to the big dogs, and we'll see what happens.
Yep. Yep. And
You know,
I'm interested to see, I've seen this a couple times in the comments here talking about the Clintons and how involved they are. You know, they're a huge part
knee
of the
deep
puzzle.
in it. I think anybody who's watching this here this evening would love to see the Clintons get what's coming to them in that regard. So I think Trump made it very clear that the Clintons will be looked at heavily. Those were two of the names he really harped on in his interviews with some reporters. And speaking of Larry Summers, he resigns from the OpenAI board, which is the ChatGPT company, as Harvard launches investigation after Epstein revelations. A little bit here of the headlines. Former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers has resigned from the board of OpenAI following the release of the messages in which Summers was asking Jeffrey Epstein for dating advice. You don't ask a pedophile for dating advice. What is wrong with this guy? And to try and bet a female mentee whose father was a former CCP, which stands for Chinese Communist Party official. And we all know the CCP is embedded in our universities really deep. On Monday, Summers announced that he would be stepping back from all public commitments. And while he said he would continue to teach at Harvard, his office appeared to be gone Monday evening. So he's probably out the door. They can't have him around. It's just bad optics.
Nah, he's toast.
Speaking of CCP, they're kind of getting into it with Japan now. You know, they got that new prime minister there that they're calling the female version of Trump.
Yeah,
right?
She's already she was talking some stuff about Taiwan, and now they're all standing off and telling their citizens to beware and all of that. It's just crazy, crazy world.
Let's see. From YouTube, Jason Martin for 8408. Why do you think Trump flipped so suddenly on releasing the Epstein files?
Chess. The chess move. If we want to glorify.
Yeah, I would like to think it's like you said, this is some kind of 4D chess move.
Oh, 5D chess, if it's the case.
Yeah, I mean but again, it's like, did he just finally get to the point? Somebody made a good point, and it's kind of a segue. But Trump doesn't like to be told what to do. So everybody trying to tell him, hey, release the files. And, you know, it's one of those, like, it seems childish, which, you know, he proves to be childish sometimes. But it's like, well, I'm not going to release them until I want to. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I've seen that kind of angle of it, but I think there was enough pressure from us, and you have this split in the MAGA movement right now, and maybe he sees that as a way to mend the fences between the America First and MAGA crowd that are infighting right now. So.
Crazy that it's the way it always works. You get these movements, and then they're like, it's kind of like church, you know, like we all three go to the same church. Brett's the pastor, and you know, I didn't get the deacon position, so I'm like, there's something wrong with this. We need to go over here and start our own church. All right, let's go. You know, it's like America First and MAGA. It sounds they're supposed to be the same. You know?
Well, so at the core, I think they are the same. It's just people are getting hung up on like one or two issues, and that's dividing the whole party. You know, it's like, and I'm sure there's some controlled opposition. The Democrats are pushing any kind of divide. They're going to try to, you know, fissure the party even more. But I don't know. I think it's just a lot of bullshit right now. 100%.
Well, what if the division between both parties is also part of the plan, right? If your enemy is agitated, agitate him more. Right. So if you can irritate them by doing what they don't want you to do, such as releasing the Epstein files, and then have this fake division. I mean, what if him and MTG behind closed doors says, "Look, you want to freak everybody out? Let's pretend like we're fighting." Right. And then that'll let the left think that we are having some sort of internal problem. And who knows?
You know what though? You might be onto something, because I was sitting there with my little tinfoil hat on earlier. I seem to be wearing it a lot these days, but I was sitting there and I was thinking about the Elon Musk and the Trump fallout. Mm-hmm. And what did Elon do? He tweets out this stuff. It's like, Trump's on that list or something like that. I can't remember. It was like insinuating that Trump was hiding something. And then, you know, they beef for a little bit, and then they calm down. And today they're at NVIDIA and everything like that. But that's really what got the march started from the Democrats. Like, and everybody focused on Trump being on that list. And then all of a sudden Trump's like, no, let's not leave. Bro, if that was the play, that's like 10D chess. He's playing a long game. I was like, dang.
That's some Jedi mind trick, Yoda level 5D chess right there.
But look at Elon. He's Yoda level.
That's true. He's an alien. Elon is the alien.
He's the first successful bot of his company.
Dude, honestly, if you told me he was a robot, I'd be like, that checks out.
Makes sense. Oh man, he's part of the Star Seeds. Starseed program.
Our favorite Republican to hate, top Republicans banned Dan Crenshaw from international travel after alcohol-related episode during congressional trip to Mexico.
Jesus.
Couldn't have happened to a better rhino.
Come on, Dan.
Damn it, Dan.
And old Judge Boasberg revives criminal contempt proceedings against Trump over the Alien Enemies Act deportation. Hasn't that all been solved?
Oh my God.
It's already been settled. It's just like they're just
Did
doing
you
shit up.
Did you see
The judges need something to do.
Did you see the whole the doctor, he came on and actually was like, it's pathological. It's literally pathological.
Yes.
It could be the like mental illness of our time.
They talk about TDS.
TDS.
Yeah.
TDS. And I think it kind of goes both ways though. More so we can call it out on the left because it's like you got Boasbergs, you got all these people who sit there and just they build their whole life on hating Trump. And
identity, right.
Yeah, I mean, there's regular people who are like, having panic attacks about Trump. And then on the right, you've got the kind of the cult, the inner sanctum of cult allegiant people that are like, I will do anything. The ones that wear the bandage on their ear after he got, dude, what is going on?
Right.
Well,
no offense.
So speaking of another judge, a federal judge on Wednesday grilled the DOJ during a hearing in Comey's case and questioned whether U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan is a puppet for President Trump. Judge Nachmanoff, a Biden appointee, questioned Halligan during a hearing on James Comey's move to dismiss the federal criminal indictment. So here we go again. You've got a Democrat, a Biden-appointed judge with Trump derangement syndrome. How are you going to say she's a puppet for Trump? He gets to appoint his own attorney general. So in theory, yeah, she's his puppet in that he appointed her. But are they trying to insinuate that she has no independence, that she has to do everything he says? And that's what they're going to claim on all of these things, that it is judicial retribution against his political enemies. And he is making his DOJ, which is exactly what they were doing to him. But in this case, we've got the evidence to back up what the president is doing and what the attorney general is doing. So it's absolutely ridiculous, these claims, but they're going to continue to say that over and over and over. And they're just going to beat that drum. Somebody really needs to get arrested, hauled off in chains, tried, and a big, heavy prison sentence thrown at them. And I think that might cause some people to shut the hell up.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, there's been enough talk and enough accusations to where at this point we have to have somebody in handcuffs, perp walked. People are begging for it. I don't care what it is. You just got to show that we're doing something.
Correct. And I need to address this comment on YouTube. What is your opinion on Republicans' reportedly low turnout during elections when Trump isn't on the ballot, and how that will impact future elections? Who's the future of the Republican Party? And that's a great question, because all of these things going on are meant to undermine what's going to happen in the midterms next year. I have said it time and time again. You have to get off your ass and vote. And one of the reasons we were able to overwhelm the system and the cheating in this presidential election was because a large portion of the silent majority, which a lot of them are Christians, finally felt threatened enough that they got off their ass and voted. We're going to need the remainder of the silent majority to get off their ass and out to the ballot box for the midterms and for the presidential election. And quite frankly, for everything, for your city, for your county, for your state. You need to get out there and vote, because if you don't, we're screwed.
Right. So, okay, I was going to ask you guys about this. So how do you guys feel about the midterms right now? Because if you're asking me, I don't feel pretty confident about it right now.
If you would have asked me like 4 days ago,
not a chance.
or maybe it was 3 or 4, I can't remember what it was, but this, all the build up to everything was pretty nasty. Yeah. And I'm watching. I don't just stay in the bubble. I go over to all the other the leftist organizations and their pages, and they're energized.
Oh yeah,
they're energized. It's like we won we won the Super Bowl, and then we all went home for the summer and we just partied too hard and we didn't stay fit, and then we got back to spring training camp or whatever you want to call it, or fall practice or whatever I'm trying to say, but like we all got back and all of a sudden, it's like, it's like we've been swimming all day, and we're just kind of zoned out and we're just kind of playing around. But the energy from the left is, and from some of these independents that are starting to swing left again, is off the charts.
Well,
and so that's the case.
I don't buy it. I don't buy that energy is real. I think that energy is manufactured. It's AstroTurf energy. It's those paid protesters that come in that are paid to be there. And another thing, don't think for a minute that these $2,000 tariff rebate checks aren't going to be held off to about the time the elections come.
Right. Well,
I mean,
you're going to have that for sure. Yeah,
for sure.
I don't know, man. I think that a lot of those people that are left to center, look at the energy in New York, right? The Mandami effect or whatever they want to call it. Right. There's all kinds of signs that they're exploiting the fracture within the MAGA movement. And
then for people like people on the left where any kind of left movement is their entire identity, they've been disenfranchised for, however long Trump's been doing his thing. And they've been looking for any kind of spark to hang on to. So now I think they're hanging on to what, some of the L's that Trump has taken here lately and running with it. Yes, to your point, Aaron, I think the left media is helping fuel that fire and maybe exaggerating it a little bit. But hate the left all you want, but you can't deny how well they organize.
Yeah,
and how they start.
This is going to sound like I'm talking out of two sides of my mouth. I agree and disagree. They can organize really well because Crowds on Demand was founded by Adam Stewart in 2012 to change how advocacy is done. Since then, we have become the source for creating movement and building impactful events. And in this article, he talks about how he wants Congress to make it a law that he has to disclose who is hiring him and for what reason. So from an organization standpoint, you're right. They're innovators.
Right.
This guy's smart. Hey, you know what? You want to pay me to organize and round up a bunch of people and get signs made and banners and organization and tools to get everybody organized and on the same page, beating the same drum. Not a problem. $250 a person or whatever it is per day. So let me just read a little bit more. Adam Stewart founded Crowds on Demand as a college student at UCLA in 2012 because he understood the power of a crowd to shape people's perception.
Right.
The same speech by a politician has a different meaning if it's given in front of 1,000 people instead of 0. So to my point that I've always been saying, the news media gives a megaphone to a group of people that is this big, but it makes it seem like they're this big. So if you think, let me just round out my thought here. So if you really think that people, is it a Seattle mayor that lives in her mom and dad's basement, never had a job, and they elected her mayor, and Seattle has a $3 billion annual budget? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Do you think they really elected her fairly? Do you think that election was actually for real?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's play off of that.
Okay.
And let's just say that, we got disenfranchised students. There's a big thing. When I'm talking to people who voted for Trump and everybody, these people are starting to say, man, I don't know if I made the right decision. They're starting to doubt. They're the center and they're the majority of this country.
Right.
They're not the fringe diehard right, the fringe diehard left. When you have regular conservatives they won't say it out loud. But when you have regular conservatives starting to ask questions and things like that, or people who are independent, sometimes lean left, sometimes lean right. Right now, I'm telling you right now, it's a crapshoot for the midterms. And you can manufactured noise that they're making is working.
I agree.
And so
do you
hold on. So we've got to get our shit together. That's first and foremost. And we have to really make a run of it in solidarity and cut out all this little infighting bullshit,
right?
Because it's gonna cost us that center. And I'm telling you, we've got to play so hard because they're so good at cheating.
Yes.
And so we got to jump that hurdle. They don't have to jump that hurdle,
right?
So it's one of those things like, so when that little small fraction, if they slide just to the left a little bit, it's over with for the midterms.
Well,
unless price of gas comes down another 40 to 50 cents. Now think about this. It's all about the economy right now.
yeah,
Right.
I mean, it helps for
So
sure.
you have the price of gas coming down. Grocery prices will start to moderate and tick down a little bit, right? And then you get a handful of predominant Democrats, the ones that have been out there beating the drum the loudest against MAGA. All of a sudden, they're named in the Epstein list. Or all of a sudden, no, wait a minute.
I'm
Or
listening.
all of a sudden, the DOJ gets them on FEMA fraud.
And there's that.
And there's that. So how many indictments have been held back for the purposes of politics in order to maximize the effect on the midterms? Do you know?
Right.
I don't know. I'm
Let me ask you
speculating.
this. Put this out. TPUSA. You know, they were instrumental in this last election.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, if not the catalyst that really put us right after. I mean, it's kind of biblical in the sense that they struck the shepherd, and so it doesn't seem the same. I mean, that's not me hating on TPUSA. They're on RAV. I love Erica Kirk and all of them, and the things that they do as far like Andrew Colvett, who's hosting a show right now. All of those things are all well said and done, but they're not Charlie Kirk.
They're not.
Right.
Agreed.
And
who's
the
gonna fill
momentum
that
has
void?
been
Right.
her. Who's going? What? It can't be Nick Fuentes. You know, like I'm just.
Right. Well, that
Wouldn't that be
event-
fun?
That event was the genesis of the split of MAGA right now. You know, you had the people, the far left within the MAGA movement. You had the people on one side, people on the other. I think that was the genesis of it. But right now, the people that what's going to make or break the midterms, in my opinion, is those moderates in the middle. Those people on the left that were like, all right, you know, yes, I voted for Trump. I'm pro MAGA, all that stuff. And then you had that division, whether you kind of have the people that are more center. Those people are going to be the ones that decide the midterms because they're going to be like, I've had enough of this Trump bullshit. I voted for him. Yes, I love the guy, but I didn't get what I was promised. My money's still getting fucking sent overseas. You know, all this stuff that he promised that is not getting fulfilled yet, still could be fulfilled. But I think that's where the target is right now, is on all of these moderates. And I think that's why you have people like MTG kind of siding in that, or you're kind of scooting along to the middle, because she's going, all right, look, I can see the writing on the wall. What got us elected, what the people that got you there are not going to get you where you're going.
Yeah.
So
We're in the second half.
Exactly. So we're in the second half game. So she knows, like, hey, if I'm going to be around, I'm going to have to appeal to that middle crowd. Because read the comments on any post that's far right. You're going to have people way more than you had before the election being like, all right, you know, that I'm fucking done with this. I'm done with Trump. I'm done with all this, blah, 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 blah. So you got a lot of frustrated people looking for a home right now. And that's the target.
100%. I mean, that's an interesting take too. And yeah, dude,
So
we got a lot of work to do, a lot of ground to cover.
So the messaging working up to the midterms, if these what I call milquetoast Republicans, because they're a bunch of pussies, except for Trump, and you know, MTG, she'll get to going, and then Lauren Boebert, she'll get to going. I mean, they really got to come out. Haven't in a while either. She did have a speech on the floor today, yesterday or today. My point being, you can't have somebody come out and rally the troops and stir emotion if they come out and say, I would like for you to vote for me in 2028. I'm an engineer and I know numbers. I'm going to come to the government and I'm going to do some math and we're going to fix this. Yeah. They've got to come out swinging and use real basic emotional language like we've talked about so many times, stating price of gas is too high, the price of milk's too high, eggs are too high. You know, the rent's too damn high. Remember that guy used to be all over the internet? The rent's too damn high, right? So you really got to come out with a strong, strong message. And that really needs to start right after Christmas.
Yeah.
You don't want to bring it out now. Everybody's too sidetracked. It's got to start right after Christmas. They've got to be coordinated. Brian, you got to say something?
No, I just think that's part of the old, if I put my tinfoil hat on again, I think that's part of the. I'm going to get one too. I'm going to have it right here, and I'm just going to put it on. Talking.
On and off, on and off.
And this could be a tinfoil thing where, or not tinfoil thing, but this is my tinfoil moment. It could be a part of the strategy. And kind of it's going in the typical arc, you're up, momentum high, and then you go through the valley, and then you're like, oh man, you're disillusioned, and then all of a sudden the hero shows up on the mountaintop, and then leads the charge, and we take the hill. So it's metaphorically and literally take the hill.
And if there's anybody who's ever been a showman that's president, it is
God. What abracadabra? Yeah, like what if he starts rolling out some like bombs? Metaphorically speaking.
Yeah. Please don't
we're not
harming other people.
Like dropping some big stuff, because it's so important, because imagine this. What would it look like if we lost the House and the Senate?
That'd be all over. They'd be coming. They'd be knocking on our doors, and we'd be in trouble.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to get impeached again, 100%.
If they take one of the places,
yeah,
that we can fight it off in the other place,
right?
Like House or the Senate, we can stop stuff, but it still slows stuff down.
Exactly. Well, and if you look at one of the articles earlier this week, a judge threw out the new redistricting map in Texas and says they have to go back and use the map from 2021. Now, the new map would have gave us 5 additional seats.
Right.
Now, it's on appeal. I think it'll get overturned. And guys, none of us here are lawyers. We're strictly speaking from what we think is going to happen. We're just 3 dudes with a TV show here. But it seems like every time one of these judges steps in to try to say, no, you can't do that, when it was within Texas's state constitution and their right to redraw those maps, hopefully it gets overturned and we don't have to worry about that. And then you've got California, on the other hand, who illegally tried to redistrict. And if you look up gerrymandering, what you get a picture of is the state that I live in, Illinois. So there's going to be a lot of shit going down between now and then. And there's going to be a lot of legal fights, a lot of back and forth, but we're really going to have a political street fight, so to speak, not violence, but you get what I'm saying. They're going to have to get down and dirty and go toe to toe. Maybe
I feel like we might have to.
Maybe some TikTok battles. I don't know, but something's got to happen. It's going to be a fight.
I feel like we're going to have to, it's going to be that goal over the goal line where you get tackled and you just throw your hand up and then the ball lands right on the other side of the line. But, you got Ron DeSantis though, who's all right. He's doing he's looking at the districting map here in Florida as well. So, to fight back against the craziness that's going on,
right.
All over the place. Everybody's losing their mind, man.
Yeah, they are.
It seems like it's like a lot of desperation is starting to surface. Whether it's true or not, I feel like on both sides, right and the left, we feel like these midterms are pivotal in, make or break for our future is kind of the way people are making it sound, which I know they do that every single election cycle. Everybody seems like this is the most important election of our lifetime. But to me, it's like I've been through enough elections to know that it just feels different right now. It feels like there's a lot of desperation and a lot of it's now or never type shit.
Yeah, and it feels like it doesn't feel. I mean, it could be life or death, but like it feels. It feels so like a pivotal midterm. This is going to be probably the most important midterms ever because I mean everybody's wanting that bag, and so everybody's going to be fighting the hardest. That's why we got to get together, get everybody back together, and start fighting because they're throwing their best at us this time. I guarantee it. They're gonna do whatever. It should be interesting to see how this year plays out, especially come January, right after everybody gets back to work, January 5th, January 8th, going back to school. It should be a quite the treat, Like I said, they're probably going to move up the alien invasion.
Please,
and
just let it happen.
Just let it happen, man. Something to distract us from this stuff because this stuff sucks. I need some like political Pepto-Bismol. I'm serious.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe 3i Atlas will just take care of everything for us.
Yeah, come down.
Come on, baby. Bring it.
We haven't looked at any of the questions from any of the socials. Brett, you want to hit yours? You're usually pretty busy on the Instagrams.
Yeah, let me scroll here a little bit. I haven't really been paying attention. Got me all fired up on this alien invasion.
Oh, man, I'm telling you.
Come on.
And thank you, all of you on TikTok who are only seeing me and hearing all three of us. We appreciate it. Again, we'll try to get this fixed sometime soon, and appreciate all the hearts as I continue to grow this live feed.
Yeah, I don't really got much of substance in here.
And if you haven't had a chance to follow us on all the socials, please do. There's our shameless plug.
Yeah. Well,
Let's see, Mike Mondi in North Carolina, and we've got ice in Charlotte right now, and people in Charlotte are just freaking out. Yeah, I saw some of the news on that as well. Organized chaos out there. If you think that's just straight up grassroots, it's not. It's a combination of grassroots and paid protesting. And because think about it, from city to city to city, it seems it's the exact same playbook.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just, like you said, it's all
Los
manufactured.
Angeles, Chicago, Atlanta, Charlotte. It's the same thing over and over.
Well, and it's also the same thing over and over because it works. It gets people riled up. It gets their message out. They know how to do it. I mean, the left has been doing it for years. They know it works.
But I think people are getting a little war weary, and I think that's going to start being less effective over time because they're never going to be able to outspend the federal government.
somebody in my comments asked me, have you guys checked out some of the news of the Netherlands? Is there something going on over in the Netherlands?
Well, everything in Europe's kind of on fire right now, too. So let's see. News from the Netherlands.
Yeah, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but
I can't either.
it's a freaking powder keg over there right now.
Why are the Dutch protesting?
Gotta love it when the Dutch are protesting.
Now, this is just a little blip off Google, and I'll do a little more research while you guys carry on. The protest was organized by right-wing activists demanding stricter immigration policies and a clampdown on asylum seekers. I mean, Europe is 10 years ahead of us in terms of the Muslim invasion, and that's exactly what it is.
Well,
yeah.
You know what I was thinking about something last night, and we think of England as this grand nation with all of these historic battles, and you know, you hear William the Conqueror, and you hear of, like I said, like you got Mercia and Northumbria and all of these different things, and you're like, man, this must have been epic. This must be grand, and then you realize it's only 1/4 the size of Texas.
Yeah,
and literally it would be. They were like little bands of people fighting each other, and then we watch these movies and it's just like epic. And so I don't understand how such a little tiny, you can fit England in Texas, I think like 3 or 4 times. I think you can put all of France and England in Texas.
Wow.
To that, and I could be off on the margins, but you can put them both in there. And so this little chunk of land, it's no bigger than Texas, is impacting the rest of the world, and they're 10 years ahead of us. How is that even a thing? How do they have so much influence over our great nation? Like, we have a grand, ginormous, huge country.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it blows my mind. And then your state of Texas there, Brett, you see mosque popping up everywhere. I've been seeing this on the news lately. It's like, what in the world is going on?
Well, and I did a video about it this morning. So Greg Abbott, people in Texas have raised enough hell to where Greg Abbott's starting to make some moves where, you know, he banned Sharia law formally by law. And then just the other day declared the Muslim Brotherhood and CAIR, CAIR, as terrorist organizations. Which, if you look into, you know, their bylaws, they are cut and dry a terrorist organization.
Yeah.
So, you know, you had the Epic City outside of Dallas. That was, I don't know where it stands right now as far as the development of it, but it was basically a Muslims only city, and they will literally be like, show me your card at the entrance of the city. If you're not Muslim, get out. You know, right. And it's like that kind of stuff is in Texas of all places, and I think that's. You know, they tried to hit the big spot first, and they've infiltrated us because we weren't looking. Nobody in Texas expected that to be a thing, and then all of a sudden it was, and we're like, whoa, what the hell? You know, where did all this shit come from? And so now it's, you know, we're catching up. I feel like, and Greg Abbott's doing a great job trying to at least mitigate it. So we'll see.
Yeah, and as you know, I grew up in Islam. I grew up around it and things, but you know, I have to be honest. It's not compatible with the constitutional republic as far as their Sharia. It's their aim is the problem. Right. The aim is the problem. And so if something is in a body that does not work with the body and it works against the body, we
Right.
would call that a cancer or
Right.
some kind of infection of some sort.
Parasite. Yeah,
And
however
I
you
don't
call it.
want to call, like, listen, I know that there are good people that are Muslim, and I know them personally, but the at-large component of Islam is cancerous to a constitutional republic.
Yep.
Because it goes against the body.
Yes.
and it tears at it. And so when you see it popping up all over the place and stuff, and they're coming over here, and maybe their intentions are good, but there's going to be that reformer that rises up,
Right.
and says, we're off. Astaghfirullah. Like
Right.
we're
Well,
off.
and then you've got use cases of the exact formula that they've been trying to do for hundreds of years over in the Middle East right now. We know what their end game is. Look at
there's always
London. Look at most of the Middle East. We know what the end game is, and for them to, to for them to be able to lie to be able to get to the end game that they're trying to get to is, we can't, us as Westerners, we can't just be nice and look the other way. At some point you got to be like, look, your views and values are not compatible with ours. It's just the way it is.
They say separation of church and state, right? But you can't separate church and state with Islam, because it is
one and the
state.
same.
One and the same.
It is one and the same. You cannot separate it. If it gets into the power, it's going to start changing things.
Right.
Bottom line.
Like
and we've
said,
already
the original, thought of it may be good for them to get to, public office and stuff like that. But at some point, somebody's going to infiltrate it, and then you're going to be
what do we do?
London 101.
the Islamic Republic
London
of America.
has fallen. They made a movie about it.
Yeah.
Look at what's going on. Look at what's going on in Mexico right now. They're so pissed off at the president of Mexico. They're rioting all over the place because they're fed up with the corruption from the cartels. Yep. So, literally the entire globe is on fire. There's not one continent on the globe that doesn't have some sort of major political, socioeconomic issue that hasn't manifested itself into violence in the street. And it's happening right here as well.
And it's crazy because we're getting to that. We're beyond the tipping point.
Yes.
We're as far, like, we live so cush in the United States, and we're insulated from, Charlie Kirk was the wake up call. Hey, look, you may be thinking you're cool, but this can happen. And you're like, crazy. That's crazy. Just south of the border, in Mexico, over 2,000 some odd government officials or political candidates have been assassinated in the last, I don't know, decade or something like that, or a decade. 2,000 people have been killed, that were aspiring politicians or government officials or police officials and all of that stuff. And that's happening all over the world.
Right.
You got Trump calling out Sudan. You got Trump, all of these different things. And we live insulated here. And this stuff is starting to creep into our reality to the point where it's like, do I really want to?
Well, and that's
the
the
doing
question is,
this.
have we gone too far? Is there a point where we can turn this around? That's the $1 million question.
Right.
Well, and it's our own government in a lot of cases that have been engaged in the activities that are causing what is going on. Capitol Police caught red-handed orchestrating the January 6th pipe bombing hoax.
That's wild.
That is absolutely nuts. So again, like I was saying, guys, I think there are going to be a lot of ugly things exposed about our own government and some of the people who we've respected as business people, thought leaders, that's going to come out, and it is going to definitely shake things up and hopefully expose it for what it is. I mean, our government, it's just like, WWF, whatever they call it these days, WWE, they're all fighting out in the front, but in the back, they're all doing the same thing, drinking the same booze, doing the same drugs, and all the dirty stuff that they do to keep each other loyal, right?
Yeah. And just to go along with what you're saying, all of that exposure, they're going to have all of that diversion to meet the exposure.
Correct.
Especially
so
now
they're going to
with
have to have
the information at our fingertips. They're going to have to be more sly about how they're doing things and have more people involved in the cover-ups and all that kind of shit. So
I mean, can you imagine if this all unfolded in some sort of orderly fashion, how long the trials would take?
Oh,
and then all the distractions, all the things that they're going to set up, all the minor black flag events or black swan events they're going to have, to maybe even if they have to and they're so desperate, they'll have a major black swan event, another 9/11
Black Swan. Yeah.
So like it's crazy because don't even get me started on 9/11. But it's a wild world we live in right now.
Crazy times for sure.
Maybe we're returning kind of to like that primitive, where Indiana or Houston attacks Dallas type stuff, like it's Merica
type shit
in London, it's maybe
I think somebody had a good point in my comments here. I think New York may be a good litmus test for what's to come.
I think it's great
how this plays out. See what is the grit of the American people? Are we going to sit by and let this shit happen, or are we going to stand up and say, all right, enough is enough? I think New York is going to be that litmus test.
So let's take those New Yorkers who believe in Mom Dami's message of socialism, and the government can run things better than the free market ever could, and we're going to level the playing field. In other words, we're going to bring a whole bunch of people down to bring a whole bunch of people up, and we're all going to be equal. And we all know that's a bunch of bull nonsense, because not everybody contributes to society the same way economically. Some choose not to, some are not able to. We all find our lot in life based on the cards that we were dealt. Some get a better hand, some get a worse hand. When this fails, those socialists who truly believe that aren't going to say, well, we tried and it failed. They're going to turn around and still continue to blame it on capitalism.
Sure.
Let me put my tinfoil hat on real quick.
You're going to get you one of those for the next show.
We got to get you
real quick. What if they checks and balance it just enough, right? To where, he can't do everything that he wants to do, but he still, is able to smile nice and kiss the babies and network, right? And then, and has a little bit of success because there were checks and balances. And then everybody's like, see, having a socialist Democrat as a mayor, or a Democrat socialist, whatever you want to call it, as a mayor isn't that bad. Maybe we can elect one in Austin.
Yep.
Maybe we can elect one in Chicago. It worked for New York.
But it only works so long as you've got other people's money to spend.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is he doesn't get to do all the things that he wants to do, right?
Just enough to keep people happy.
Just enough to keep everybody says you're not going to run New York with this stuff. So there's people that are, playing behind the scenes thinking they're helping. Right. But then at the end, he has a successful enough tenure as mayor to be able to say, look, it wasn't that bad having a Democratic socialist elected as a mayor of a city.
And I've mentioned this before. Jordan Peterson has a great monologue about how you infiltrate somebody, and you toe the line, push the line just enough to where people start crying foul. Or in Mom Donnie's case, you push it just enough to where people stay satisfied, but it didn't quite work. But you have enough to go, okay, that worked. Now let's move on a little bit further until people start crying foul again, and then you back off a little bit and wait, and then you do it again. It's a slow game. It's a slow game, and I think to your point, I think in New York, it may be that exact situation where they get just enough success to where they'll keep it going.
And checks and balances.
You're not going to have the home run, full on socialist utopia like Mom Dami's promising.
They're not going to allow it. And then not only that, it's I don't know. It's a game of smoke and mirrors, really, at the end of the day, because they want, here's this Democratic socialist who makes sense, appeals to the certain emotionality of people. Right. And then he's, he toes the line like you're talking about just enough. And he seems moderate, and it's not that big of a deal. So it's more socially acceptable to accept a social Democrat or Democratic socialist. And so that's where
prime example, think about even 10 years ago, if somebody would have told you a Democratic socialist was going to be the mayor of New York, we would lose our fucking mind.
Yeah.
They'd be like, there's no way.
They would look at you like you had a third eyeball on your forehead.
Yeah. I'd be like, you're insane. But here we are. It only took 10 years for that unthinkable thing to be a reality. So who knows? In another 10 years, who fucking knows?
So since we're talking about Mom Dami, I didn't mean to cut you off, Brian. Mom Dami's inner circle under scrutiny as aides past rants fuel fears for New York's future. New Yorkers woke up to fresh concerns about the direction of their city government when old social media posts from Hassan Shadari, a member of the mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani's transition team, came to light. Shadari, who worked as a Muslim outreach director during the campaign, used Jew as a slur in one 2012 message. In another post from the same year, he praised Iran's Muhammad Ahmadinejad. I think I got that right. Ahmadinejad. By sharing a statement calling Israel a cancer, which will be eliminated very soon, on and on and on. I think it's going to fall apart and get off the tracks before it even starts. And then one other thing, then I'll clam up. Kathy Hochul said she wouldn't raise taxes to fund what he said he needed to do, and she has since reversed course on that, said she's going to raise taxes in the state of New York.
Dude, there was a big thing on social media saying that there's a housing boom in New York.
Yeah.
And yeah. But they make it sound like it's New York City, but it's not New York City. It's everybody fleeing New York City.
Yes.
Getting out of there. And then they're like, well, we can't move out of state, so let's just move out into the country or into one of these little small towns over here. Let's get out of Dodge. And then we had the boom down here in Florida. There's over $1 billion. I think it was over $1 billion in revenue based off of that election.
And when when the political and financial capital leave New York, it's going to be detrimental because people are going to vote with their pocketbook and they're going to leave. Right. And it will cause housing prices to come down in New York. And guess what? A bunch of idiots will flood into the city, helping to continue to feed that nasty machine we call socialism. And at some point in time, they'll eat their own. It'll all implode on itself. And it's not going to be overnight, but it's going to be enough to screw things up. And let's let that be the experiment that proves that, no, we shouldn't do that. It's a bad idea. Don't do that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting year, guys.
Crazy times.
I'm looking forward to the holidays.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Well, anyway, we're coming close to the top of the hour. I appreciate everybody who put in some questions for us this evening. And thank you again, TikTokers, for hanging around. Again, we promise we will try and get this TikTok thing figured out. They're not being cooperative with us on our platforming. And if you haven't had a chance to follow any of us, please do on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. Our name should be the same across all those platforms.
Yep, we appreciate you guys tuning in every week. I see some names every week that I recognize, so we do appreciate it, guys. Everything that you guys can do to help support us, we do appreciate greatly. Yeah, and things will be. We're tightening ship up. We're getting the shit tight. What shit typed? I can't even talk. Blah, blah, blah. First, I'm going to learn how to speak, and then we'll get back to you. But literally, English. We are going to. That was my my inner Iranian coming out, trying to speak Arabic. So like it was we're going to be tightening things up on the ship, and then getting a little bit better of a program system going on, bringing a little bit more heat to the program, and having some I would say more, for me, ignorantly articulated conversation, because at the end of the day I don't know shit, and and so I'm glad that you're here listening. Yes.
I think what he's trying to tell you is it's going to get more gooder.
It's going to be, because, Aaron's the decider, so
he's daddy, keeping us going,
big daddy.
The train rolling.
Well, hey, we want to kind of make it a party. We want to make it fun, and we want to make it serious. And again, we thank you all for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. That's a 50-50 next Wednesday, seeing as how Thursday's Thanksgiving, but we'll do our best to get on Wednesday. Maybe we'll back it up to Tuesday, but we'll let everybody know. And we'll talk to you then. Have a safe week. And we're going to take it out with a little party mode from Dustin Lynch.
All right. Appreciate you guys.
See you guys. All right, I'm going to take her down.
Is this where we start talking and acting like our voices are silent? Like,